When he finally reached his apartment in San Jose, the midday sun was shining brightly, casting long shadows on the quiet streets. Yet inside, Daniel felt anything but calm. As he opened the door, the sound of Mia's laughter greeted him, a brief, soothing reminder of why he was fighting this battle. Mia was on the floor, arranging a set of toys, while Henry slept peacefully nearby. Watching over them was Mrs. Lauren, the kind-hearted woman who had offered her support without hesitation. "Good morning, Mr. Wilson," Mrs. Lauren said warmly, standing as he entered. "I hope you were able to handle what you needed. The children are doing well." Daniel smiled faintly, momentarily comforted by the sight of the children in safe hands. "Thank you, Lauren. I really appreciate all you're doing," he said, though the gravity of the situation quickly resurfaced. "I need to speak with you. Do you have a moment?" Sensing his urgency, Lauren gestured for Mia to stay in the living room. "Of course, Daniel. What's going on?" she asked, concern flickering in her eyes as she followed him to the kitchen. Daniel closed the door behind them, lowering his voice. "Lauren, I've uncovered some deeply troubling information about the orphanage Mia and Henry came from. It seems the woman in charge, Erica Bridges, is involved in illegal activities. I don't have all the details yet, but there are strong indications that she's using the orphanage as a front for child trafficking," he explained, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. Lauren clasped her hands to her mouth, her eyes wide with disbelief. "My God, Daniel, how could something so horrific be happening right here in our town? What are you planning to do?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I need your help, Lauren. Commissioner James is working on an investigation, but we need to proceed cautiously. Erica has connections, and we can't afford to make a misstep. In the meantime, I have to ensure Mia and Henry stay safe. Can I count on you to keep looking after them while I sort this out?" Daniel asked, his gaze steady. Lauren nodded without hesitation. "Of course, Daniel. I'll do everything I can to help these kids. They've been through so much already, they deserve to feel safe." "Thank you," Daniel said, his voice filled with gratitude. "You have no idea how much this means to me." As Lauren returned to the children, Daniel retreated to his home office. Sitting at his desk, he spread out the documents he'd gathered from City Hall, combing through every detail in search of a breakthrough. His mind lingered on a report that mentioned a former employee, someone who had tried to report Erica's suspicious activities before being fired. That person might be the key to unraveling the truth. Grabbing his phone, Daniel dialed Commissioner James again. "James, I've been going through the documents, and it looks like there was an employee at the children's home who tried to expose Erica but was dismissed. This person could be pivotal to our investigation. Can you track them down and find out where they are now?" Daniel asked, his voice resolute. "I'm on it," Wilson James replied without hesitation. "I'll reach out to some contacts and see if we can locate this individual. It might take a little time, but I'll keep you updated." "Thanks, James. Keep me posted," Daniel said, hanging up. Sitting back in his chair, Daniel let out another deep breath. He knew the road ahead would be perilous, but there was no turning back. Erica Bridges had to be stopped, not just for Mia and Henry, but for all the children who had suffered in silence. For the first time in years, Daniel felt a sense of purpose, a clarity that cut through the fear and uncertainty. Whatever it took, he would see this through to the end. Back in his car, Daniel Wilson picked up his phone and called Commissioner James once more. "James, I'm leaving City Hall now. I've come across some troubling information about the children's home and Erica Bridges. It seems she has powerful connections and might be involved in something much bigger." "Have you made any progress with the investigation?" Daniel asked, his urgency barely masked. "Wilson, we're on it," James replied, his voice steady but resolute. "Reliable sources confirm your suspicions. It looks like Erica is using the orphanage as a front for illegal activities, possibly even child trafficking. But we need solid evidence to proceed. I'm assembling a team for a deeper investigation. But we have to stay under the radar." "Erica has allies in high places," James cautioned. "I understand, James. Keep me updated," Daniel replied. His mind raced as he ended the call. Every passing moment felt like lost time. Erica and her accomplices were likely already working to cover their tracks. Daniel knew he couldn't wait idly. He spent the rest of the day tirelessly piecing together more clues and laying the groundwork for the fight ahead. He realized he would need more than just James. He needed people willing to risk everything to stand against Erica's powerful network. By late afternoon, as the sun dipped lower in the sky, Daniel checked on Mia and Henry. Henry was still soundly asleep, while Mia sat near Mrs. Lauren, gazing silently out the window. "How are you holding up?" Mia Daniel asked, sitting beside her on the couch. "I'm okay, Mr. Wilson," she replied quietly, though her small voice trembled. "But I'm scared. What if Erica finds us?" Her wide eyes reflected a fragile hope, clinging to his promise of safety. Daniel rested a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You don't need to worry, Mia. You and Henry are safe here. I won't let anyone harm you again," he said with firm conviction. Mia nodded, trying to find solace in his words, though fear still lingered in her expression. As night fell over San Jose, Daniel felt the looming weight of the corruption he was up against. The decisions he made in the coming hours would ripple far beyond his own life, affecting countless children who couldn't fight for themselves. Secluded in his study, Daniel pored over every scrap of evidence he had collected. Each piece of information brought him closer to the dark truths buried within the orphanage's walls. His phone rang, cutting through the silence. Recognizing the number, Daniel answered quickly. "James, what have you found?" he asked, his voice calm but charged with anticipation. "Wilson, things are escalating," James warned. "Erica might know someone's investigating her. If she catches on, she'll move fast to destroy evidence or escape." Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. Time was running out, and any misstep could jeopardize everything. "Understood, James. Let me know as soon as you have anything actionable," he said, ending the call. The next morning, Daniel left his apartment after ensuring that Mia and Henry were safe under Lauren's watchful care. He drove through the quiet streets of San Jose, his thoughts heavy with the stakes of what lay ahead. Sean Cox, the former employee brave enough to speak out, was risking everything by cooperating. Daniel couldn't fail him or the children still in danger. When he arrived at the station, Commissioner James was waiting for him. The lines of exhaustion were evident on James's face, but so was his unwavering commitment to justice. His tired eyes carried a fire that mirrored Daniel's own. "Wilson, you're here. We need to move fast," James said, leading him into the meeting room. The dimly lit space was lined with maps, notes, and photographs. Around the table sat James's most trusted officers, hand-picked for their integrity and immunity to corruption. Daniel recognized a few faces and felt a glimmer of reassurance, knowing they shared his resolve. "This is Daniel Wilson, our primary informant on the case," James introduced him. "Wilson, share what you've uncovered." Daniel spread his notes on the table, carefully explaining everything Sean had revealed. He detailed Erica's manipulation of records, the suspicious financial transactions, the fabricated adoptions, and the horrifying possibility of child trafficking. As he spoke, the room grew heavy with silence, the weight of the revelations settling over the officers. "We need solid evidence to dismantle her operation," Daniel concluded. "We know she's forging documents and relocating children illegally, but we have to catch her in the act, and we need to rescue any children who are still in danger. Sean has given us a few leads on potential locations, but it's fragmented." James nodded, his jaw tightening as he absorbed the information. "Here's the plan," he began, his voice commanding. "We'll split into teams. One group will focus on surveillance and documentation to gather irrefutable evidence. The other will monitor the orphanage. If we detect any movement, we'll act immediately. The children's safety is our top priority." Daniel nodded, feeling the gravity of the task ahead. The team's plan was meticulous, but the risks were undeniable. Erica's network was vast and dangerous. Any slip-up could mean devastating consequences. Yet with Sean's courage, James's leadership, and his own relentless determination, Daniel knew they stood a fighting chance. As the meeting wrapped up, Daniel felt the fire of purpose burn brighter within him. The stakes were impossibly high, but so was his resolve. For Mia, for Henry, and for all the children who had suffered in silence, he was prepared to fight this battle to the very end. Back in his car, Daniel Wilson picked up his phone and called Commissioner James once more. "James, I'm leaving City Hall now. I've come across some troubling information about the children's home and Erica Bridges. It looks like she has powerful connections and could be involved in something much larger." "Have you made any progress with the investigation?" Daniel asked, his urgency intensifying. "Wilson, we're on it," James replied, his tone steady but serious. "I'll dig deeper and track down the employee you mentioned. It might take time, but I'll do everything I can to locate them. In the meantime, stay vigilant. I've heard that Erica might suspect someone's looking into the orphanage. If she realizes how close we are, she could destroy evidence or worse." Daniel felt a chill run through him. Time was slipping away, and one misstep could risk everything. "Understood, James. Keep me posted the moment you have anything concrete," he replied, ending the call. Sitting in his car, Daniel realized he couldn't afford to wait passively. He spent the rest of the day making calls and gathering every shred of information he could find on Erica and her web of influence. He knew he would need more allies, people willing to stand against Erica and her seemingly untouchable network. As the afternoon wore on, Daniel's phone buzzed unexpectedly. Sean Cox's voice came through, thick with tension. "Wilson, I think someone's tailing me. I'm worried Erica might know what we're doing. I need to get out of here now," Sean said, his fear unmistakable. Daniel's heart raced. If Sean was being followed, it meant Erica was already making her move. "Sean, stay calm. I'll have a team pick you up. Avoid unnecessary risks and head straight to the safe spot we discussed. I'll make sure you get there safely," Daniel said, keeping his voice steady despite the mounting worry. As soon as the call ended, Daniel dialed James. "James, we've got a problem. Erica might already know what we're up to. Sean's safety is at risk, and we need to act fast. Send a team to extract him immediately, but make sure it's done discreetly. We can't afford to tip her off," Daniel urged. James responded without hesitation. "I'm on it. I'll send a team now. But Wilson, watch your own back. If Erica knows about Sean, she might be keeping tabs on all of us. This is getting more dangerous by the minute." Daniel exhaled sharply, his mind racing. The tension in San Jose felt almost tangible, as though the entire city were holding its breath. He knew he had to protect Sean, ensure the safety of the children, and collect irrefutable evidence to bring Erica down, all while staying one step ahead of her. That evening, James sent Daniel the location where Sean was hiding. Without delay, Daniel left his apartment, assuring Mrs. Lauren he wouldn't be gone long. The night air was crisp, carrying the scent of damp earth from the previous day's rain. Daniel navigated through the dimly lit streets, leaving the city's glow behind as he approached the outskirts. After half an hour, Daniel reached the small village James had described. It was a cluster of simple homes, most constructed of adobe, with clay roofs, lining a narrow dirt path. A few faint lights flickered in the windows, offering a hint of life in the otherwise silent neighborhood. Daniel parked his car and double-checked the address James had sent. He approached a modest house tucked away from the others. The door was slightly ajar, and an unsettling stillness hung in the air. Daniel hesitated before knocking firmly. "Sean, it's Daniel. Are you in there?" he called out softly, his voice carrying in the quiet night. There was no response. Daniel felt a knot of unease tighten in his chest. The dim light spilling through the crack in the door revealed little, and the silence inside was unnerving. Gritting his teeth, Daniel stepped closer, prepared for whatever lay beyond the threshold. Daniel Wilson parked his car and stepped out, glancing at the dimly lit windows scattered across the quiet village on the outskirts of San Jose. He double-checked the address Commissioner James had sent him and approached a modest house set back from the others. The door was slightly ajar, and Daniel felt a twinge of unease as he knocked and waited. Footsteps approached cautiously, and the door creaked open just enough to reveal an older man. His face was deeply lined with wrinkles, his eyes reflecting years of fear and weariness. Sean Cox Daniel asked softly, "I'm Daniel Wilson. Commissioner James told me where to find you. I need to talk to you." Sean hesitated, scanning Daniel's face for signs of trustworthiness before opening the door a bit wider. "James said you'd be coming. Come in, but keep your voice down." "I can't risk anyone overhearing us," Sean whispered, his voice trembling slightly as he stepped back to let Daniel inside. The house was sparse, with only the bare essentials. Sean led Daniel to a small room with a worn table and 2 chairs. He gestured for Daniel to sit before sinking into the other chair, his body tense. "What do you want from me?" Wilson Sean asked bluntly, folding his hands tightly as if bracing for bad news. Daniel leaned forward, his tone calm yet filled with urgency. "Sean, I know you tried to report Erica Bridges and what's been happening at the children's home. I know you lost your job and had to go into hiding because of it. But you're not alone anymore. Commissioner James and I are investigating her. We need your help to expose her and stop this once and for all." Daniel explained, his voice steady but empathetic. Sean lowered his head, his hands trembling as he ran them over his face. "You don't understand what you're asking. Erica is dangerous. She's got powerful connections," Sean said, his voice carrying the weight of past trauma. "When I started noticing what was really happening at the orphanage, I tried to report it, but no one wanted to listen. They said I was making it up. Then they fired me and threatened me. They told me if I didn't disappear, I'd regret it. That's why I'm here hiding." Daniel sat back for a moment, absorbing the fear and bitterness in Sean's words. Then he leaned forward again, his voice filled with quiet determination. "Sean, I understand your fear. But think about the kids still there, the ones who might vanish if we don't act. How many more will suffer if we don't stop Erica? I promise to protect you, but we need your help. You know more than anyone what's going on in that home. Your truth could save lives." Sean looked up, his eyes searching Daniel's face. The room was thick with silence as he seemed to wrestle with his inner demons. Finally, he exhaled heavily and nodded, resignation giving way to a flicker of resolve. "Erica is involved in child trafficking," Sean admitted, his voice raw. "I saw the transactions. I saw them taking the kids away. I never knew where they went, but it wasn't good. She made it all look legal, like it was adoption. But the paperwork was fake, and the kids, they just vanished. I tried to go to the authorities. But Erica's got people everywhere. If James is involved, maybe there's hope. I'll help you, Wilson. But we have to be careful." Relief washed over Daniel, though he felt the weight of what lay ahead. "Thank you, Sean. I know this isn't easy, but your courage will make a difference. I need you to tell me everything you know, every detail. Together we'll build a case strong enough to bring Erica down for good." Sean nodded, his voice steadier as he began recounting everything. He described how Erica manipulated records, forged documents, and orchestrated the illegal movement of children. He spoke of suspicious financial transactions and how employees who questioned her were silenced. Each detail painted a chilling picture of Erica's network. Daniel took careful notes, feeling the gravity of the revelations. This was the kind of evidence they needed, but it also meant the stakes had risen. One wrong move could put Sean and others at risk. After hours of conversation, Sean finally leaned back, exhaustion etched into his face. "That's everything I know. I hope it's enough to take her down. But please, Wilson, be careful. Erica and her people have no limits." Daniel reached out, placing a reassuring hand on Sean's shoulder. "Thank you, Sean. This is more than enough. I promise we'll use this to bring her down. And I'll make sure you're safe throughout the process." As Daniel left the house and walked back to his car, the weight of the responsibility pressed harder on him. The information Sean had shared could be the key to dismantling Erica's operation, but it also meant every step moving forward would have to be precise. Driving back to San Jose, the darkness of the night seemed heavier, but Daniel felt a renewed sense of resolve. He was closer than ever to uncovering the truth, and he knew he couldn't stop now. The lives of countless children depended on what he would do next. The night in San Jose brought a haunting stillness. The streets, usually alive with the city's nighttime energy, were eerily empty, as though the entire town held its breath. Only the faint sound of wind and Mia's occasional murmurs, perhaps dreams of a better world, far removed from her harsh reality, broke the quiet. Inside Daniel Wilson's apartment, he sat at the dining table surrounded by files and scattered notes. The soft flicker of his laptop screen illuminated his tense expression as message after message poured in. Daniel felt the immense pressure of navigating a tangled web of information, fragile alliances, and looming threats. Each passing moment seemed to weigh heavier on his shoulders. He knew the most critical point in this harrowing journey was close, and the uncertainty of what lay ahead gnawed at him. Mrs. Lauren, always vigilant, had insisted on staying overnight to help with the children. Her calming presence was a shield, keeping Mia and Henry insulated from the gravity of the situation. Daniel glanced toward the living room where the children slept soundly, Mia curled on the couch under a warm blanket, Henry snug in a makeshift crib. For a moment, love and fear collided in his chest. Mia had become like a daughter to him, and the thought of failing her was unbearable. His phone buzzed, pulling him from his thoughts. A text from Commissioner James lit up the screen. Team deployed to pick up Sean. He's safe. Monitoring activity at the orphanage. Suspicious movements noted. We need to act soon. Daniel read the message repeatedly, each word fueling his resolve. The moment they had been waiting for was near. Erica Bridges was making her move, and they needed to act fast before she could destroy any evidence or harm another child. He opened Sean's notes on his laptop. Erica had relied on hidden rural routes to move children undetected, avoiding patrols and prying eyes. Daniel knew intercepting these paths would be crucial to rescuing the children and building an airtight case. A soft knock interrupted his focus. Mrs. Lauren stood in the doorway, her expression a mixture of concern and quiet determination. Daniel, I can see it in your eyes you're about to do something dangerous. You don't have to tell me what, but I want you to know we're all with you, Lauren said, her voice trembling slightly. The children and I need you to come back safely. Daniel felt his throat tighten with emotion. Thank you, Lauren. That means everything to me. I promise I'll keep everyone safe and make sure Erica faces justice. Please keep looking after Mia and Henry while I'm gone. Knowing they're in your care gives me peace to do what I have to. He replied, placing a hand over hers in gratitude. Lauren nodded firmly, her voice steady despite her visible worry. I'll care for them as if they were my own, but promise me you'll come back. Those kids need you, Daniel, she said before retreating quietly. For a moment, Daniel sat in the silence, reflecting on the chain of events that had brought him here. That fateful night when he stopped to help Mia and Henry had completely altered the course of his life. Now, he found himself at the heart of a battle between justice and corruption. He couldn't fail not for himself, but for the countless lives hanging in the balance. He grabbed his phone and dialed Commissioner James. James, I'm ready. I'm heading to the station now. We need to act before it's too late, Daniel said, his voice firm. I agree, Wilson. The team is ready. Tonight, we take Erica down, James replied. Before leaving, Daniel knelt beside Mia's sleeping form. Her face was serene, untouched by the fear and chaos of reality. He brushed a gentle kiss across her forehead. I'm doing this for you, Mia. I'll make sure you and Henry have the life you deserve, he murmured. Arriving at the station, Daniel was greeted by a buzz of activity. Commissioner James stood at the front of the room, a board behind him covered in maps, photos, and notes. Officers gathered around, their expressions tense but resolute. Glad you're here, Wilson. Let's get to it, James said, gesturing to the board. The plan was laid out in 3 critical phases. Interception 1 team would monitor the hidden transport routes, ready to intercept any suspicious movement. Another would keep watch on the children's home, waiting for the right moment to strike. Raid and rescue once suspicious activity was confirmed. The team would storm the orphanage to rescue the children and arrest Erica and her accomplices. The children's safety was paramount. Evidence collection, the final phase, involved gathering incriminating documents, devices, and any materials to ensure Erica's prosecution. "Wilson, you'll lead the evidence collection team," James instructed. "We can't afford to miss anything. Every piece of evidence counts." Daniel nodded, his resolve unshaken. "Understood. I'll make sure we leave no stone unturned." As the teams moved to their vehicles, the tension was almost palpable. The darkened streets of San Jose seemed to hold their breath, anticipating the storm about to unfold. Daniel climbed into his car, mentally running through every detail of the plan. There was no room for error. A single misstep could jeopardize everything. Driving toward his designated location, Daniel felt the weight of the night ahead pressing on him. It would be long and fraught with danger, but he was ready to face whatever came. For Mia, Henry, and the countless children depending on him, Daniel was determined to make this mission count. The night in San Jose carried a haunting stillness. The streets, usually alive with the city's nighttime energy, lay eerily quiet. Only the occasional rustle of wind and faint murmurs of Mia dreaming somewhere safe broke the oppressive silence. Daniel Wilson sat in his car, parked near the orphanage, his mind racing as he mentally reviewed every detail of the operation. This was it, the moment they'd been working toward. The seconds stretched painfully as the team moved into their positions. The tension in the air was palpable, thick enough to weigh on Daniel's chest. From his vantage point, he watched the dark, deserted streets, his breath steady despite the storm of emotions swirling inside him. Suddenly, his radio crackled to life, and Commissioner James's voice came through, steady and urgent. "All points in position. Suspicious movements confirmed. Get ready to move." Daniel's pulse quickened. He grabbed the radio, his voice calm but resolute. "Let's go get her." Stepping out of the car, he joined the assault team, his heart pounding with a mixture of dread and determination. The operation was in motion. The team divided into two groups. Alpha team intercepted vehicles positioned near the orphanage, likely preparing to transport the children. Bravo team, with Daniel alongside them, moved to breach the building itself. The orphanage loomed in the darkness, a shadow of its former self. What should have been a sanctuary for vulnerable children now stood as a grim monument to neglect and something far worse. Its once vibrant walls were now cloaked in grime, the facade broken and forgotten. The officers moved swiftly but carefully, taking up their positions. At James's signal, the front doors were breached, and the team poured into the building, weapons raised. Inside, the air was heavy with dampness and decay, the faint stench of mold lingering. Dim, flickering lights cast unsettling shadows on the walls, amplifying the tension. Room by room, the officers cleared the space, finding nothing but neglect and darkness. The lack of children heightened the sense of urgency until hurried footsteps echoed from the floor above. Daniel exchanged a glance with James, and without hesitation, they moved toward the source of the noise. The old wooden stairs creaked under their weight as they ascended. At the end of the narrow hallway, a faint light seeped through the crack of an ajar door. James motioned to the team to prepare for entry, then pushed the door open. Inside the large room, the scene was heartbreaking. Rows of small, battered beds lined the walls. Scattered across them were children of various ages, their faces pale and weary, their plain, worn clothes hinting at the suffering they had endured. Some were asleep, unaware of the chaos unfolding around them. Others sat up, their wide eyes filled with fear as they stared at the armed officers. The silence was broken by a calm, calculating voice. "James, you have no place left to hide." From the shadows, Erica Bridges emerged. Tall and poised, her silver hair was pulled into a sleek bun, her crisp, tailored dress an unsettling contrast to the filth surrounding her. Her sharp gaze betrayed no fear, only a cold detachment that sent a chill down Daniel's spine. "So you finally come for me," Erica said, her tone almost amused. James didn't waver, his gun trained steadily on her. "The only mistake here is yours. Erica using an orphanage as a front for child trafficking. Did you really think you'd get away with it? Erica's eyes shifted to Daniel, and her lips curled into a faint, mocking smile. "You think I'm the villain here, Mr. Wilson," she said, her voice low and almost sympathetic. "But the world is cruel. These children had no future. I gave them an opportunity to survive. Sometimes sacrifices must be made for the greater good." Daniel stepped forward, his anger barely contained. "Sacrificing innocent lives isn't survival, Erica. It's exploitation. You're no savior, you're a predator. And tonight this ends." Her smile faded, but her icy confidence remained. "You think you can stop this? Stop me? I have friends in places you can't even begin to imagine. Even if you bring me down, someone else will take my place. This is bigger than you, bigger than all of you." James stepped closer, his voice unwavering. "This isn't bigger than justice, Erica. You will answer for everything you've done." As Erica stood silent, the officers moved quickly, securing the frightened children and guiding them to safety. Daniel glanced around the room, his heart heavy with the weight of what he saw. Each child was a reminder of the evil they were fighting to dismantle. Erica was handcuffed and led out of the room, her expression still defiant. But for Daniel, this wasn't the end, it was only the beginning. The scars left on these children would take years to heal, and there were still pieces of Erica's dark network to uncover. But tonight, one thing was certain: her reign of terror had come to an end. As Daniel watched the children being escorted out to safety, his resolve deepened. For Mia, for Henry, and for every innocent soul who had suffered under Erica's cruelty, he vowed to see this through to the very end. Justice would prevail, no matter the cost. The night in San Jose carried a haunting stillness. The streets lay abandoned, and only the soft whistle of the wind and Mia's faint murmurs broke the silence. Inside Daniel Wilson's apartment, sleep eluded him. Documents and notes lay scattered across the table as he worked tirelessly to piece together every fragment of the investigation. The most grueling part of the journey lay ahead, and Daniel knew there was no room for error. As the operation reached its climax, Commissioner James took charge of the arrest. "Erica Bridges, you're under arrest for child trafficking, document forgery, and criminal conspiracy. Surrender now, and you might still have a chance at a fair trial," James declared, his voice unwavering. Erica, realizing she had no escape, raised her hands in surrender. Her cold, calculating gaze betrayed no remorse, but it was clear she knew the end had come. Officers moved in swiftly, securing her in handcuffs. Daniel stood silently nearby, a mixture of relief and resolve washing over him. The nightmare Erica had created was beginning to unravel, but the work ahead was daunting. Evidence needed to be meticulously collected, and the children needed immediate care and protection. The once frightened children were gently guided to safety. Among them, a young girl clung to a worn doll, her wide eyes reflecting fear and exhaustion. Daniel knelt beside her, his voice soft and reassuring. "You're safe now," he said, offering a faint but comforting smile. The girl hesitated, then gave a small nod, a glimmer of hope beginning to surface. Back at the station, Daniel met Jason Walker, the lawyer tasked with ensuring Erica's prosecution was airtight. "You did great, Daniel," Jason said, his tone firm but encouraging. "The evidence is solid. With the children's testimonies and Sean's statement, we've got a strong case. Erica won't escape justice this time." With the legal side in capable hands, Daniel shifted his attention to the children. Social workers and psychologists had arrived to provide the support the children desperately needed. Among them, Mia and Henry were adjusting to their new reality. Mia's resilience shone through as she calmly answered the social workers' questions, her arms protectively wrapped around her little brother. Watching her, Daniel felt a surge of pride and a deep determination to secure a brighter future for them both. Later, discussions turned to temporary placements for the rescued children. The uncertainty they faced weighed heavily on Daniel's heart. Unable to hold back, he approached Mila, one of the social workers overseeing the children's care. "What's going to happen to Mia and Henry?" he asked. his voice steady but filled with concern. "Do they have any family?" Mila's expression softened as she responded. "As far as we know, they don't have any close family. They'll likely be placed in temporary care until a permanent solution can be found." Daniel stood silently for a moment, his thoughts racing. That night in the rain, when he first encountered Mia and Henry, had changed everything for him. They weren't just two children in need, they had become his responsibility, his purpose. "I'd like to apply to become their temporary guardian," Daniel said, his voice resolute yet tinged with emotion. Mila smiled warmly, her eyes reflecting understanding. "This is a significant step, Mr. Wilson. We'll need to conduct an assessment, but given everything you've done for these children, I believe we can begin the process. It won't be easy, but we'll be here to support you every step of the way." Daniel nodded, a mixture of relief and determination flooding him. The road ahead would undoubtedly be challenging, but his resolve was unshakable. Mia and Henry had endured horrors no child should ever face. Now they deserved nothing less than love, safety, and the chance to rebuild their lives. Daniel was ready to fight to ensure they got exactly that. Inside the station, Daniel Wilson met with Jason Walker, the lawyer he had contacted earlier. Jason had been tirelessly preparing legal strategies to ensure Erica Bridges and her network would face justice. "The evidence is strong," Jason assured him. "With the children's testimonies and Sean's statement, we have a solid case." Daniel, filled with immense gratitude, nodded. "These kids deserve justice, and we'll make sure they get it," he replied, his voice steady with determination. As social workers and psychologists supported the rescued children, Daniel kept a watchful eye on Mia and Henry. He marveled at Mia's strength as she began to open up to the professionals, her resilience shining through even after everything she had endured. Watching her, Daniel realized he was witnessing the first steps of a remarkable recovery. During discussions about temporary placements, Daniel approached Mila, one of the social workers. "What's going to happen to Mia and Henry?" he asked, his tone filled with concern. "Do they have any relatives who can take care of them?" Mila shook her head sadly. "As far as we know, they don't have any close family. They'll likely enter temporary care until a more permanent solution is found." Hearing this, Daniel paused, the weight of a life-changing decision settling over him. Looking over at Mia and Henry, he felt a deep sense of purpose. "I'd like to apply to become their temporary guardian," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Mila smiled warmly, her voice encouraging. "This is a big step, Mr. Wilson. But given everything you've done for these children, I believe we can start the process. It won't be easy, but we'll support you every step of the way." Daniel felt a wave of relief tempered by responsibility as he prepared for this monumental shift in his life. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but his resolve was unshakable. Mia and Henry had been through unimaginable hardship, and now they deserved nothing less than a safe, loving home. Even as Daniel adjusted to life with Mia and Henry, the legal battle against Erica's network pressed on. With Commissioner James and his team, Daniel worked relentlessly to dismantle the criminal organization. The story gained traction, with local media shedding light on the atrocities that had taken place, ensuring the public and the legal system remained vigilant. Months passed, and Daniel's bond with Mia and Henry grew deeper with each day. They shared meals, laughter, and quiet moments that slowly transformed them into a family. Determined to make their bond permanent, Daniel began the official process to adopt them. The journey was filled with challenges, but his unwavering love and commitment saw him through. On a bright spring day in San Jose, the adoption was finalized. As they stepped out of the courthouse, Mia slipped her small hand into Daniel's and looked up at him with a radiant smile. "Thank you for everything, Dad," she said softly, her words carrying profound gratitude. Daniel, overwhelmed with emotion, knelt down to embrace her. "No, Mia," he replied, his voice thick with feeling. "I should be thanking you. You and Henry have given me a new life." They held each other tightly, joined by Henry in a moment of pure joy and unity. As they walked through the bustling streets of San Jose, the warmth of the sun illuminating their path, Daniel realized he had found his true purpose. It wasn't in success or accolades, but in the love of his newfound family and the fulfillment of making a positive impact on their lives. Have you ever wondered how a single act of kindness can transform lives forever? In this touching story, we witness Daniel Wilson, a successful businessman, uncover the dark secrets behind an orphanage run by the cunning Erica Bridges. What began as a chance encounter with two abandoned siblings, Mia and Henry, in the rain turned into a courageous journey of justice, love, and redemption. Daniel's relentless pursuit of the truth, alongside brave allies like Commissioner James and Jason Walker, dismantled a dangerous child trafficking network, rescuing countless innocent lives. Through Daniel's determination, Mia and Henry found not just a safe haven, but a loving father who stepped up to give them the life they deserved. Their story reminds us that even in the face of darkness, there's always hope, courage, and the power of doing what's right. It's a powerful example of how a single decision to care can lead to monumental change. If this story touched your heart, we encourage you to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. Let's spread the message that compassion and determination can make a difference. By sharing, you're helping raise awareness about the importance of protecting vulnerable children and standing up against injustice. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. What part of Daniel's journey moved you the most? How do stories like this inspire you in your own life? Share your feelings and reflections in the comments below. Your voice matters, and we'd love to connect with you. Together, let's keep these conversations alive and continue to inspire one another to bring light into the lives of those who need it most. Thank you for watching and being a part of this journey.